You got to fight.
Here are the Downing Street parties that took place while the rest of us were banned from having such fun.
For your rights.
Boris Johnson says, I accept that the House of Commons was misled by my statements that the rules and guidance have been followed completely at number 10.
To have a party.
This was a scandal that brought down a Prime Minister with an 80-seat majority.
Gate investigation. These are the interesting times. Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnston. Welcome to the Wednesday Interesting Times, which is a show that likes to take a sideways swipe at politics right here in the UK. Big news of the week has to be Boris Johnson sitting down in front of a committee looking into Partygate. Okay, so for those that don't know Boris Johnson, you just need to know two things about him. Number one, he was our Prime Minister, and number two, he's a liar. Got it? Good. Now, we had COVID sweeping through the country a couple of years ago, and in May 2020, we had lockdown. The legal restrictions in place said that you could not leave your house without a reasonable excuse, and government guidance, yes, that government, said that you could meet one person outside of your household in an outdoor setting while exercising. This picture was taken during that time, the now fairly infamous wine and cheese party. Boris Johnson said that this was a work event, and those people were talking about work. Really? Because it looks like this guy's complaining about how the lady across the way always closes her curtains when she's changing. But as we know, Johnson is a liar. On to 20th of May, a whole 5 days later, Johnson attended a socially distanced drinks in the number 10 garden and said he thought it was a work event because he's a liar. 19th of June, Johnson's birthday, where, if you remember, he was ambushed by cake. We know he was there because there are photos. He claims he was there for less than 10 minutes, although that would still be 10 minutes more than legal restrictions allowed. Liar. 13th of November, a leaving party saying goodbye to Dominic Cummings and probably good riddance, and another one in the Downing Street flat. A spokesman for Mrs Johnson denies the second party took place. Liar. Further ones on the 27th of November where Johnson joked about how crowded it was at this party. Sorry. Work do. 15th of December, at the time the rules stated banned 2 or more people from different households from meeting indoors unless reasonably necessary for work purposes. So this is Johnson in between two colleagues taking part in the reasonably necessary Christmas quiz. Johnson denied any wrongdoing. Why? Because of that whole pants on fire thing. 18th of December, Prime Minister's Press Secretary Allegra Stratton taking part in a mock press conference and joking that this functional party was a business meeting and it was not socially distanced. Johnson said he was furious. Of course he was furious. He's been found out. Stratton apologised in tears and quit. Johnson said he was as angry as everyone else, but that was a lie too, as on the 14th of January, another party was held to see off 2 former private secretaries, and police did conclude that this breached rules that were in place at the time too. The Privileges Committee, who will be the ones questioning Johnson today, have been waiting to speak to Lion Haystacks since it was set up in April 2022. And here we are nearly a year later. And Johnson, who was first approached in July last year to give his written evidence to the committee, did so Monday afternoon. But it had so many typos and grammatical errors, they asked him to correct and resubmit it. Is it too late to get a refund on that Eton education? Johnson did this 8:02 a.m. yesterday morning, giving the committee just over 24 hours to look at it. And it's 50 pages long. So really, Johnson's defence is, here, have a look at this. Any questions? No? I'll see myself out. The crux of his defence, which was originally all guidance was followed, I don't know, no one told me, is now, yes. Yes, I did mislead the House, but I didn't do it intentionally. What? Not intentionally? Is he saying this was an accident, like falling down the stairs? Or falling on top of a Russian violinist? So who's the committee with the unenviable job of trying to nail down this evasive Machiavellian jelly? They are made up of 4 Tory MPs, 2 Labour MPs and 1 SNP member. 4 Tory MPs might put this in Johnson's favour, do you think? But bearing in mind, one of those Tory MPs is Charles Walker. This Charles Walker.
It is unconstitutional, and this government, our Prime Minister, needs to end these injustices now. The idea that in this country we are going to ankle tag someone who has not been convicted in a court of law. This is not what the Conservative Party does. Madam Deputy Speaker, will you bring the Prime Minister and or the Home Secretary here today to sort this out?
Pack your bags, bloaty McBlokeface. Your time is up. Never mind, I'm sure you can get us a spot on Talk Shit TV. Now, I finished writing this on a Tuesday and I record it Tuesday evening and edit it on Wednesday, so I'm not going to know the outcome of this, but I think I can summarise. Bluster, bluster, warble, warble, lies, lies, damn lies, something in Latin. Repeat until the time is up, or the committee have lost the will to live. The committee won't be producing the report until after the local elections, so as not to influence them. But here's my prediction of what's likely to happen. The committee decide to recommend a 10-day suspension, and Parliament says, nah, he's our mate, and that's it. But we can dream, can't we? And that's it. No time to talk about Reform UK having a relaunch of a rebranding. Right, so what's different this time?
Our borders are as open as they have literally ever been.
Indeed, I mean, the party has policies and will have policies on a whole range of issues, from immigration. We are talking also about waiting lists, about the boats coming over.
Nigel Farage and Anne Widdecombe talking about immigration and stopping the boats. The ending of Titanic was less obvious than this. Richard Tice was on hand to talk about refluff.
The band is reforming.
So, what's the ban, Richard, is it? Crooked steals and cash? The Boars? Joyless division? Grandmaster Fash and the Curious Dives? Never mind the Bullock, here's the Sex Pest. Dire Straits? Fun-loving criminals? Public Enemy? Yes, I know the last three were real, but come on, it still fits. And of course, for a party polling at 6% and have never won a single seat, has to be The Who? And indeed, as far as getting elected is concerned, they're only going in one direction. The problem with this lot is the over-enthusiasm. I mean, let's make Britain great? You mean as in Great Britain? Honestly, I think that's been done already. But it's not just that, it's the flag. What country are you trying to get elected in? Come on, give us a clue. We're not mind readers. And that's it. All this bluff and huge flags and singing Rule Britannia at the top of our lungs is, well, it's not actually very British, is it? To have that level of enthusiasm makes us feel uncomfortable, like receiving a compliment, or small talk, or hugging. Ew. National enthusiasm just isn't us. Try it. Go into a pub, sing Land of Hope and Glory really loudly to the person stood next to you, and then try and give them a hug and see what happens. They either end up in hospital or sectioned. And before anyone says, what about last night at the proms? What, this lot? Let's be clear, they are pissed, drunk, blottoed, and that includes the orchestra. Alcohol is the reason. It's why we English celebrate St. Patrick's Day, even though we're not Irish, but don't celebrate St. George's Day, even though we're English. No time to talk about the Windsor Agreement and how the DUP don't like it, but they're not the only ones. Here are the ERG coming out of the Star Chamber, led by their leader and poison dwarf, Mark Francois.
Can I just make a point about the so-called Stormont break? You've got a diagram on the back. Let me see if I can summarise this for you very quickly. 1. It only applies if Stormont is up and running. Secondly, it's very limited in its scope. 3. The EU law being proposed, against which the break could be theoretically deployed, has to have a significant impact on everyday life in Northern Ireland, but the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland can decide not to accept the break being used in exceptional circumstances. It has to be discussed in the UK-EU Joint Committee, where the UK can decide not to implement the break. Even if they do decide to implement the break via the Joint Committee, the EU can then still object to that, and the matter is then referred to arbitration. So that is clearly not a veto. A veto means you want to do something and I can stop you. This is not a veto, which is how it has been characterised for the past 3 weeks.
A whole lot of stuff there, including, rather ironically, Mark seeming to complain about the UK government having some say over the Stormont break. Well, there is a lot to unpack, but let's be honest, who cares about these no-hopers? I don't recognise any of them. All the big knobs have moved on to other things. Jacob's got his own show, Steve Baker's rubbing shoulders with the stars in Parliament. All they got left is Micro Mark. I mean, who is this guy? Hello? Anyone want to talk to me? Hello? No? Okay. No time to talk about Suella Brandman and that picture from her time spent in Rwanda. This is someone hashtag living the dream. To be fair, the photo was cropped, so let's see all of it. Yeah, that doesn't really make it any better. She was over there to show what a wonderful country Rwanda is.
I'm delighted to be here in Kigali, meeting with the Rwandan government. Rwanda is one of the world's fastest growing economies, one of the world's safest countries.
World's fastest growing economy? World's safest country? Hold that flight! Thank you all so much for watching. Now, there is no show next Wednesday, and not one on Sunday either. The next Interesting Times will be on Sunday, the 2nd of April. So, I'll see you then. Take care.